Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Priscilla if it's your first time here, and I film about faith, purpose and marriage because for me these three things go together. Anyway, in today's video I want to talk about, are you your spec? Recently I did a live session where I spoke about God's will and love, and one of the things that came up is this spec issue. And I'm going to be transparent. For the first time, I shared how I thought I didn't really have a spec, but somehow this thing came up when I met my husband for the first time, and I was like, look, anyway, I'm not ready to talk about this on YouTube, but definitely look out for that. One of these days, I'm going to be talking about what I thought my spouse didn't have when I saw him. But let's talk a bit about this whole thing, this whole spec thing. You know, for some people, they are like, I want a tall person who is very spiritual, who prays, who has this job, and you know, who comes from such a place and all of this stuff. One of the questions that I want to ask you is, are you your spec? Most often than not, we forget that the person that we want, or the kind of person that we want, also wants a certain type of people. So you say you want a tall person. That tall person, is he also looking for somebody like you? That tall person, because sometimes when you say you want a tall person, you yourself, you are not tall. I mean, I'm just using this as an example. You say you want a tall person, you yourself, you are not tall. That tall person that you want, is he also looking for a short person? So if you say you want a spiritual person, you want somebody who can pray, can you pray yourself? Are you a prayerful person? The reason that I'm talking about this is because we don't often realize that the person that we want is really also looking for certain qualities in the person that he wants. This is why, in my opinion, I've shared it a couple of times, I don't really believe in having a list of things that you want in your spouse, especially as it pertains to those physical things that we often write. I'm a big believer in living a life of surrender and just allowing the Lord to lead you, because he knows what is best for you. And when I talk about that, I'm not, in fact, I've shared a lot about that on Facebook recently. I'm not saying that this is something you do grudgingly or you do by force. You have to understand God's will for your life. That is the framework. This is why for me, I'm like, this whole thing of, okay, because I want to marry in God's will, I will just wait for when I'm ready to get married and then I pray and God will lead me, is causing a lot of casualties because people are missing it. This is not what is so, like, this is not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to understand God's will for your life. When you understand God's will for your life and you are walking in the will of God for your life, you are a different kind of person. You are a certain person. And I'm sure you've heard me talk about that as well, that purpose is not really just about what you do. Purpose is also about who you become. So you become a certain person that is predisposed to doing the will of God in the area of marriage as well. So when you say that you want a person who prays, since that person who prays is not looking for somebody who doesn't pray. So it already means that your spec is not specking. I mean, your expectations are being unrealistic. This is actually a huge problem, in my opinion, because this will also now become a problem in your marriage because you are not prepared to handle the kind of person that you are praying for. That person who is prayerful, it comes with certain demands. It comes with a way of living and doing things. And when you get married, if you are not a prayerful person yourself, it is going to cause frictions. Some of you say, I want a person of faith. I want someone who doesn't walk by sight, who walks by faith. Sis, do you understand what it means to walk by faith? I often say that my inspiration, or the person that I look up to when it comes to faith, is Abraham. So just study Abraham's life, who was a man of faith and the father of faith as we know him. He gets up one day and he's like, babe, I think we should move. And you're like, okay, that's nice. So when are we moving? It's like, we are moving tomorrow or we are moving next week. Where are we going to? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know where you are going to? And I I mean, and he actually proceeds to explain, God spoke to me and God said we should move. And you're like, God, where, when, how? I don't know if you understand what I mean. When you say you want to marry a man of faith, you have to study faith. Like, you have to be a person of faith as well, because there is a way that that person is going to live, and that person is going to take decisions a certain way. Are you really ready for that? You know, some people say, oh, for me, I want to marry someone who works in a certain organization. Do you really understand what it means for that person to work in that organization? Do you understand the demands of his work? It's like some people say, oh, for me, I don't want to marry a pastor because pastors are very busy, they take care of others, blah, 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 blah. The whole thing is really about understanding God's will for your life. If you are listening to me right now and you don't understand God's will for your life, you are not ready for marriage. Honestly, I'm just going to say it as it is. You are not ready for marriage, because marriage is about purpose first of all. Yes, I know this is not commonly said. You know, they make it look like marriage is about love, marriage is about cuddling, marriage is about being intimate. All of those things are part of marriage. In fact, that's literally how marriage works. But marriage goes beyond that. Husbands and wives in their homes don't wake up every day and they spend the whole day cuddling. They also go about doing stuff. So when you say that this is the person, this is the kind of person I want, you have to understand that that person is looking for someone who also is within a certain category, who meets certain criteria. So here's my recommendation. Be the kind of person that attracts the kind of person that you want to get married to. Be your spec. And that's, I mean, the summary of all of that is understand God's will for your life. I mean, there are some other things that you have to work on. You have to prepare to be a wife. You have to learn how to be a wife. That part also matters, but the core, or at least part of the core of having a successful, a thriving and loving and happy marriage is understanding God's will for your life. You have to be your spec. Now, let me go back to the physical aspect. The physical aspect that has to do with, I want a tall person, I want a short person, or I want a fair person. There is this quote that I follow who said, you are saying you want a fair person. What if everybody also says, I don't want a dark person? Are you going to get someone to marry? Okay, but you understand the point. Honestly, I have come to realize that, yes, those things matter, but those things are not the weightier matters. Like, it matters to want a fair person, or to want a dark person, or to want a tall person, or a short person, or whatever. But at the end of the day, is that what really counts? Or is that like the most important thing? Is that the most important thing? Because I have personally realized that when we focus on those things, we tend to neglect the most important stuff. And if you're going to be honest, there are so many things that can actually change. There are so many things that can be worked on. Of course, you can't change the complexion. So if you want a dark person, well, I would first of all say, look within. Why do you want a dark person? By all means, do you understand? Of course, I mean, you have the right to want a dark person or a fair person, but you have to look within to really understand why you want a dark person. By all means, like, so I don't want any fair person. Look at that first of all. Dig to understand where that is coming from. It will help you really know whether or not you should keep holding on to it, or you should just, let it go. But at the end of the day, really, most of these physical things that we look at, like how the person dresses, how the person looks. You see those people that you see on TV who appear well packaged. It is because they packaged themselves. So yes, I know you want somebody who is already well packaged, but if you're going to be honest, and if I'm also going to be honest, listen, the Priscilla that I am today is a better version of the Priscilla I was a couple of years ago before I got married. And that is because there are some things that I've had to improve upon. because my husband is like, okay, I like this, I like that. I'm being transparent. And there are some things that my husband has had to improve upon, because I'm like, babe, I really would appreciate if this looks this way, or if this. It doesn't mean that you get married to change the person. Don't misunderstand that. But it just means that when two people are really willing to spend their lives together, they also should be willing to make adjustments when necessary. Ah bon, d'accord? When necessary, not just the moment you marry the person. This is actually what usually having those things causes when you get married, because when you marry someone, then you want to change the person altogether. You want to recreate the person altogether. This is not how it's supposed to be. So yeah. Anyway, so are you your spec? That person that you so desire to get married to, should you meet that person today, would that person look your way? Would that person say, okay, let me even start a conversation with this lady, or let me even consider this person as a life partner? Because that person is also looking for someone who fits. And this is really what marriage is all about. It's not just about sitting down and having a list of criteria of things that you want to see in your spouse, while you are not ready to do the work to become the person that you should be for that person. And it's important that I say this, especially to you if you are still single, so that you begin to work on that, because one of the leading causes of marriages failing is because people feel entitled. People feel like my spouse should change for me. My spouse should do this for me. My spouse should do that for me. But most people are not ready to become who they should be also for their spouse. And it really shouldn't be because you just want to become that person for your spouse. It should be because you want to become a better version of yourself, and you want to become someone who will be able to contribute towards the success of your marriage. When you actually come from that angle, then you would realize that it will make things a lot easier. So your assignment for today is for you to go back to the drawing board and sit down with your lists and ask yourself, these are the things that I want to see in my future spouse. These are the qualities that I'm looking for in my future spouse. Am I ready to handle it? Je vais ouvrir une parenthèse rapidement. I'm going to talk about something quite quickly. For my brothers who are saying they want an ambitious woman, I've always wanted to talk about it, and it just came to mind, so let me just say it. You want an ambitious woman. You want a woman who knows what she wants. You want a woman who is hardworking, a woman who is spiritual, a woman who goes for what she wants. Okay? Are you ready to handle that kind of woman? Because it's one thing to want a woman who is ambitious, and it's another thing to be able to handle a woman who is ambitious. To be honest, if you want an ambitious woman, you have to be an ambitious man. And this is not about climbing the career ladder or becoming who that person is. This is a whole topic altogether. But you have to be ambitious, and you have to be tu dois être à l'aise. You have to be comfortable. You have to know who you are, basically, and you have to be solid, rooted in your identity. Because if you are not rooted in your identity, you are always going to feel threatened. Being secure in who you are is very important. Other than that, you're always going to see that woman as a threat, and it's going to be difficult for you to live with that person. Now, let me also say something quickly for women who are also like, I want a man who is ambitious. I'm an ambitious woman. I want a man who wants what he wants. Are you ready to handle a masculine man? Are you ready to handle a man who knows what he wants? Because a man who knows what he wants is a man who knows who he is, and a man who also understands his role in the marriage and understands that he is the head. And so he's going to be the head. So have you understood what your role is and what your place is in the marriage? Other than that, there's always going to be power struggles. So anyway, are you your spec? Let's go back to the drawing board, especially if you are not yet married. Go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, these are the qualities that I want in my husband. These are the qualities that I want in my wife. Am I ready to handle these qualities? Do I understand what it means to be married to someone like this? And am I ready for it? If you want, I feel like this video is never going to end. If you want a good-looking person, Of course, good looking is relative, but yes, I'm just using the vocab that would usually use, right? So I'm using the vocab that would usually use because let's be transparent, let's be honest. Ladies who say, I want somebody who is good looking, let's not forget that for somebody who is good looking, you know, usually when you're like, I want a guy who is like someone who, when I go to places, they're like, is that your husband? I'm like, yeah, that's my husband. Like, yeah, that's my fiance. He's good looking, right? He knows how to dress, he knows how to package himself and all of that. You know, sometimes, you know, you have to understand that these people are people who draw attention as well. They are people who often have ladies look at them and stuff like that. Are you also ready to handle it? Have you learned how to handle it? Or you are going to always be picking fight and looking for, why did this one look at you like this? Why did this one look at you like that? Let me not overextend this video. I'm sure it's already long enough. Go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, am I the kind of person that the kind of person I want to get married to would also want to get married to? Let's avoid issues, because most marriages fail before they even start because the foundation is wrong. I've said quite a number of things in this video, and I would really encourage you to watch it more than once. If you can, watch it twice, because sometimes when you listen to something once, it's not enough for you to really grasp everything. So watch it twice, take notes, and do your homework. I'm an implementation person, because if you want to see results, if you want to see transformation, then you have to implement. Don't just be a listener. So go back to the drawing board, do your homework. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to share this with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed. Join the family because I have a lot more coming your way. I'm here to help you grow your work with God, work in your purpose, but also find the right person and stay happily married. I'll talk to you in the next video. Over.